Hi, I'm CPUTestUnit and I play DayZ on the PS4. And as this game brings somehow a new kind of gameplay to the console world, I thought I'd take you with me to show you some first steps in this diary-style film. So come on, follow me. Today I want to meet with a posse on this map here, and to do so we need to be on the same server and meet at the same location, as there's no way you can spawn together in that game if you're new spawn. So like every other new spawn, I start at the beach and I run through generals, and I'm going to loot the first houses I find, so to look if there's some good loot that I can use and to show you some things about the game. So actually I will start to explain how you meet with friends on the map. So the group I want to meet with already spawned on the same map as I am on, and I'm going to explain you how you can do that in the best way. So actually if you start the game, you are able to choose the server where you want to play on. The servers divert between night and day servers, and you can see how full the server is. So if you're going to choose the server, you and your friends need to choose the same server to be on the same map. Now if they just start on the same server, they will be here as well. There's another way how you can do it, is if you choose in the PlayStation menu your friends, and you look your friend up and look on the game he's playing at the moment, and you then press there the join button. So you then will be on the same map as your friends. Unfortunately, you do not spawn next to each other. If you're a new spawn, you spawn at the beach, and you then need to make your way through to the location where you're going to meet your friend. So some previous planning surely is useful to define at which time you're going to meet at which location on that digital map here. So you then can choose how to communicate with your friends by either using the in-game chat, which means if your friends are near enough and you use the button down to use your speakerphone and you then speak to your friends, your friends will hear your words, but also the surrounding will hear your words, so if the other players, they will hear you. Now the second choice is you build up the PlayStation chat and invite your friend and go to speak there with each other, but then you're not able to communicate with other players on the map. You would then need to leave the chat first to be able to communicate with them. So if you then finish your session at a day and you're going to despawn, then you're going to respawn at the next day exactly at the same location. So if you're going to despawn with your friends, you will be able to respawn with them together if you're starting at the same time. Now here you see a sign actually, which is very useful to orientate. There's a lot of maps available in the net where you can find these city names and then plan a way to meet at a location or to get to the same location. So all of that I did in advance. And I'm now on my way to Svetloyansk, in the north of the coast. So I use the shovel as a weapon, but you can use the shovel, for example, for a lot of different things, like digging for worms or starting your base. So, and that's generally with loot in DayZ. You can use and combine a lot of the things. So you really should test around, and you can also find some of the useful information in the net, so some of the recepts. So I'm drinking now something because my thirst is really low. And then I'm moving on to meet my posse. Generally, I recommend to test a lot of the stuff you find to identify if it can be combined to something useful. You can find a lot of these things around in houses and the other loot spots. You can build weapons and you can build other useful tools as well out of it. So there was one of the others which I self-defense myself against. So I'm taking that nice, whatever this drink is called, and you see I got hurt. So I'm going to pluck myself by simply using the stripe. you should check it's clean, or you disinfect it with some disinfection tools that you can find. You get it out if you cut closes into stripes. These stripes you can use as bandage, or you can build ropes out of it and so on. So that's a closed door. So I obviously would need something like a lockpick or similar to get into it. And it's always useful to loot everything that you find on your way. So to look for food and look for drinks. So as you see, there's a can in that car, but I can't get it out. And that's something of the little bugs that you sometimes see still in the game. So you can't get a piece of equipment that you found, or it feels really clunky. But I hope they will update that in one of the next coming updates, and it's not that dramatic. The game is still good playable. So I still try to get onto the can before I decide to give it up, and instead to look around for other food device. Let's move on. I'm sure we will find something else. So there already is something. That's actually some cornflake style food, and this game really has a lot of depth, because you see, if you eat that dry food, you will get thirsty and need to drink, but it's actually feeding very well. So I'm eating something. So you see it's getting dark. I'm closer to Svetloyarsk now. There already comes the harbor. So I hope I find my first friend now soon. And these signs are always good to orientate and to look on the map, as said, to identify where you are. So we then changed the server because it became night and you see really badly in the night. You still can move around, but actually we changed the server and choosing the same server to be on the same server again, and so here's my mate. So we're going on and moving onwards to meet our third friend, and as you can see here, you can look very far and you see movement already in a far distance. So it's always good to speak to each other and say, hey, do some jumps or something, so you're sure it's your friend who is sprinting to your position and not a good armed enemy just attacking you. So here he is. So what you then also can do is you can share your stuff by just dropping it. So I'm giving him a hammer here as a weapon, and you can share things generally, which is very nice in a posse. So in a posse or a group, this game obviously becomes much easier, as you can help each other. You can share your equipment, you can share your weapon, you can share food, you can defend each other, you can even share blood, and you can bring your partner back to life if you died. So there's a lot of opportunities for a group, and as you can see, we're fighting here against the others, the new citizens of that apocalyptic world here. And we continue to go to the north, so during a fight it's always good to keep some distance, so not to be too near, so you're able to hit the computer blade enemy. So actually, as you see, I got hurt a bit. A good alternative also is just to isolate the enemy by closing the gates like we did here. And so we continued to the north, and after a while we really thirsty found a beautiful church with a huge graveyard, where we then unfortunately jumped onto the fountain to drink some water. And to jump on a fountain, you actually need to keep some distance, so not to be too close to it. So you're able to overjump that little wall here. And so we drank here, had a rest. So you see the little arrows at the bottom showing upward, so the water gets refilled while I drink. But we couldn't do that for a long time, because unfortunately we were disturbed by another player, and he had a gun. So fighting another player with a gun, meanwhile you are just on melee weapons, is not a good idea. So we escaped to the northern part and sneaked through the woods. Unfortunately, I caught myself some stomach infection, as you can see on the bacteria symbol in the corner, which came from the dirty water from the fountain that we just drank. So we will need to try to get some medicine now out of the hospitals or one of the doctor stations, which then will help me, hopefully, to cure that infection. And then we sneak to the next little village, and actually the surrounding or the nature has quite an effect on your character's life. So if you run through rain, you get wet, you get cold, you need to get a fire to get your body warm again. Well, if you have an infection like me here, you need to cure it, find medicine, or you need to bandage yourself. So if you're wet, you need to get warm again by doing a fire, by crafting. And here you see some apple trees actually. On the PC version, always good to find some food. Actually on the PlayStation, the apples don't hang in the trees, they lay on the floor. And you need to walk around a little bit and wait a moment until they fall down. So we looted a little bit longer in the little village at the northern border of the map, and we shared the ammunition. We tried to combine it so we at least have one functioning gun so we could defend ourselves. So sharing the equipment again, as you can see, is quite easy. Down to the village. That's actually our third body, so not an enemy. So we followed down the road, looked around, the others were also there, so we sneaked a little bit. Then we found the ultimate water source in this game here in DayZ, which is water pump. So you can always drink from that pump, the water is always fresh. You can refill bottles and other useful tools here. So these pumps are really useful if you know where they are located. So you can plan your tour through Shanaros by ensuring you always have a water resource nearby to satisfy the thirst. So that's a sewing kit. With sewing kits you can, for example, repair your clothes. So if they get ruined through attacks, ruined clothes you can't repair, but anything else like demolished or similar, you can upgrade with a sewing kit or with a leather kit for your backpack. So I'm looking now for a nice and cozy place where I can stay for the night, because my bodies want to travel on, but for me it's time to take a nap. And so I'm looking for a nice small place, because you always need to mention when you despawn that you will respawn at your next session exactly at the same location. So you should use a location to despawn where it's unlikely that you will sit in a place where 3 or 4 players are already, and so you have no chance as well respawning. So always look for a nice place where you can despawn safely. So the others want to continue their travel. I hope I will see them back in the morning. We said we will meet here at that little powerhouse. So I hope it brought some information to you here. That's the end of that part 1. It will be continued, and if you enjoyed it, just leave me a like. Thanks!